Are you ready, kids? From his very first sizzling Krabby Patty flip to outsmarting Plankton's wildest schemes, SpongeBob's Bikini Bottom adventures have soaked us in laughs and pure chaos. And in today's video, we're breaking down the full nautical story of the absorbent, yellow, and porous SpongeBob SquarePants. Bikini Bottom starts with one sponge, a square optimist built for service. SpongeBob treats life like a shift he can't wait to clock into. Craft, kindness, chaos, that's the toolkit. The spatula, his magic wand. He's fearless until he overthinks. Then it's a full panic hurricane. At his core, work done with love beats schemes, ego, and shortcuts. He's the town's moral starter motor, the reason everything resets with a smile. And where there's a hero, there's always a best friend. Patrick Star. Patrick is loyalty in swim trunks. He misunderstands almost everything, yet somehow lands on the truth by accident. The soft shoulder, the chaotic catalyst, the king of deadpan. Give him power and he'll hoard ice cream. Give him friendship and he'll cross deserts. His brain takes vacations mid-sentence. His heart never clocks out. When the show needs pure-eyed, Patrick delivers, usually in under 7 words. Of course, all that optimism needs someone rolling their eyes in the background. Squidward tentacles. Squidward dreams of quiet galleries and standing ovations. But he lives between a foghorn laugh and a jellyfish siren. The clarinet, his diary, the eye roll, his punctuation. He rejects childishness right up until the sweet victory performance, then bows like he planned it all along. That cynicism? Just armor. Underneath, there's a soft center that peeks out whenever art, order, or dignity finally get their moment. But dignity doesn't pay the bills. And that's where a certain crab comes in. Mr. Krabs. And here comes the money.
Money, 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 money.
Eugene Krabs is capitalism in a shell, flinty and funny. He'll spend $1 to trap a nickel, convert a wall hole into a drive-thru, and lock a thermostat. Yet when pride or crew get hurt, the claw opens. He mentors by accident, bargains by reflex, and hoards nostalgia like coupons. Money is the plot engine. Fatherhood is the twist. And if Krabs is the empire builder, then right across the street is the 1-inch rival who keeps losing at every board meeting? Plankton, a 1-inch Napoleon with stadium-sized ambition. Plankton is the funniest doomed entrepreneur on television. Strategy meetings? Just him talking to himself. Pivots? Grudges with wiring diagrams. Brilliant at tech, terrible at people. Every heist proves the same blind spot. He underestimates craft and community. Drop the sneer, and he's almost sympathetic. A guy who wanted customers and built a bunker instead. But every mad scientist needs a voice of reason, or at least a wife who doubles as a supercomputer. Karen, the smartest character in town, is bolted to the wall. Karen is Plankton's mainframe wife, an R&D lab with dry-wit firmware. She runs forecasts, calls out sunk costs, bankrolls the plot. Beneath the snark is a real care. She rescues, remembers anniversaries, and upgrades to keep pace with his next mistake. Whenever Karen headlines, Bikini Bottom suddenly feels like Silicon Valley trapped in a snow globe. And when you're stuck between a money-hoarding crab and a scheming plankton, sometimes you just need someone who can solve problems with a lasso and a physics degree. Sandy cheeks, frontier brain, rodeo reflexes. Sandy is science, grit, and homesickness in one airsuit. She solves cosmic problems with a lasso and a whiteboard, then serves tea. Her episodes play like a lab manual where physics has manners and friendship sets hypotheses. She translates Texas pride into undersea patience and proves curiosity. Not brawn, arm wrestles the universe. But no matter how many experiments she runs, there's one creature in town whose only word says everything. Gary the Snail. Minimal dialogue, maximal agenda. Gary is a roommate, a conscience, and sometimes a hostage to negligence. The meow ranges from withering roast to lullaby. The eyes judge in 4K. He survives schemes, relocations, and even a citywide beauty regimen. Gary's chapters are domestic comedies. Small problems that matter because home matters. Treat him well and he purrs. Forget dinner and he'll move out and back. Which leads us to our next underwater friend, Pearl Krabs. And while Mr. Krabs counts his pennies, his daughter is counting shopping bags. Pearl is a teenage whale with mall radar and a soft spot for the old man she calls Dad.
Daddy, 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 where's Daddy? Daddy!
She wants sparkle, not grease, but sometimes she steers the family brand with surprising savvy. She pops the Krab's thrift bubble by reminding him that feelings aren't line items. Her best bits mix pep rally drama with genuine care. SpongeBob's a dork, sure, but he's her dork when it counts. And when SpongeBob needs to pass his boating test, yeah, that's where this next character comes in. Mrs. Puff, long-suffering, long-inflating. Mrs. Puff teaches boating and trauma management on the side. She knows SpongeBob aces theory but flunks the wheel and somehow keeps trying anyway. Puff episodes are farce fueled by bureaucratic dread, paperwork, sirens, and another totaled cone. Beneath the panic is real compassion. She wants him to pass. Just maybe not this decade. Meanwhile, when the town needs biceps and sunscreen, it's Larry's time to shine. Larry the Lobster, gym bro lifeguard energy with occasional wisdom. Larry turns beaches into bench presses and safety talks into flex routines. He's a friendly foil, competent, confident, hilariously literal. When he fails, muscles can't outswim absurdity. When he wins, professionalism finally shows up. And then there's the one guy who seems to have been around since the pilot episode, Old Man Jenkins, Bikini Bottom's wandering NPC. Sometimes ancient, sometimes just cranky. Always ready to be eaten, launched, or imperiled by good intentions. He's living continuity. Proof the town runs in loops and everyone's somebody's neighbor. But when chaos hits, you need a voice to make it official. Perch Perkins, Bikini Bottom's newscaster, a velvet voice reporting ridiculous emergencies with deadpan gravitas. Perch turns jellyfish stampedes into developing stories, and lunch rush disasters into breaking news. If he shows up, you know, the bit just went big. And over all of this madness, there's only one voice keeping time itself moving. The French narrator. Time itself with a snorkel. The narrator gives the show fairy tale authority and mock documentary seriousness. 2 hours later is both clock and punchline. His asides set the rules. Right before the show gleefully breaks them. He's the invisible host making nonsense feel planned. Nonsense feel planned. But the narrator also brings up someone a bit notorious. Bubble Bays. First up on the villain roster, Petty. Weaponized pettiness and suspenders, to be exact. Bubble Bass lies, bullies, and hides pickles under his tongue like he's smuggling state secrets. He's the episode-length stress test for SpongeBob's craft, shaking his confidence until the rhythm comes back and justice finally lands on the plate. But at least Bubble Bass doesn't wear a cape. That honor belongs to the next guy. Man Ray, a Silver Age supervillain who somehow ends up in empathy class. Depowered by a tickle belt, reformed by customer service tone, Man Ray is the show's neatest little satire on rehabilitation. It works until it doesn't, which is the joke. And if Man Ray is Saturday morning villainy, the next one is literally full of hot air. The Dirty Bubble, a floating hazard, a visual pun. The Dirty Bubble shows up to menace the town, gets punctured by basic decency, then drifts back whenever the writers want superhero parody without filling out the paperwork. Dangerous as air and usually full of it too. But if you want real trouble, give royalty a trident and a temper. King Neptune / King Poseidon. Different crowns. Same lesson. Royalty without empathy is just vanity with a scepter. Neptune brings thunderclaps. Poseidon brings beauty regimens. Both get humbled when leadership means listening to a fry cook who actually understands people. And speaking of royalty, Atlantis has a king with an even fancier title. Lord Royal Highness, LRH. Atlantis' velvet-voiced monarch. LRH runs a museum kingdom with patient menace until a priceless bubble pops, hospitality curdles, policy sharpens, and then he's done with you entirely. Mythic, amused, and very much over tourists. But at least he stays polite. The next guy just screams meta-horror for kids. Doodlebob, an artist's mistake that refused to be erased. Doodlebob turns paper into portals and rulers into weapons. He's creation chasing creator until boundaries, frames, books, erasers, finally slam the door shut again. And then there's the one who turns a ketchup prank into a horror movie cameo. Hash-slinging slasher and Nosferatu. A campfire rumor who walks like a teen in ketchup, saved by one cutaway to a silent film gremlin. The slasher is fear arranging coincidences. Nosferatu is the show winking at cinema history before killing the lights. And speaking of killing the lights, why not talk about the place Nosferatu did this at? The Krusty Krab. Every story needs a main stage, and for Bikini Bottom, it's the Krusty Krab. Grease pops, bell dings, and the whole town queues for patties like it's Sunday service. It's SpongeBob's theater, Squidward's purgatory, and Mr. Krabs' vault with tables. Conflicts start here, end here, or blow up right in the middle of someone's lunch rush. And directly across the street, the world's saddest business plan in stainless steel. The Chum Bucket. Plankton's stainless bunker hums with doomed inventions and Karen's deadpan commentary. Customers? Rare. Schemes? Nonstop. It's part laboratory, part war room, part lonely restaurant where ambition always outpaces hospitality. And friendship never even makes the menu. But once, Mr. Krabs tried to double the empire, and that didn't go well either. Krusty Krab 2. A copy-paste version next door built on expansion, insecurity, and one really bad promotion strategy. It crowns Squidward as manager for a day, then becomes a monument to titles without competence. Same grill dream, twice the hubris, until the real hero grabs the spatula back. But outside the business district, the homes of Bikini Bottom tell their own stories. SpongeBob's Pineapple. Bright, earnest, home base. The pineapple hosts sleepovers, science experiments gone wrong, and birthday chaos in equal measure. When nematodes eat it down to nothing, SpongeBob waters the ground with tears and grows another overnight. Lesson learned, home matters. Right next door, minimalism takes a strange new form. Patrick's Rock. A studio apartment you can literally lift. Patrick's Rock is nap central, snack vault, and occasional getaway vehicle. Plans hatch here, if naps allow. When family visits, expect collapsing furniture, disaster, and loyalty served on sand. And on the other side of the yard lives the only guy in town who hates this neighborhood the most. Squidward's Easter Island Head. Modernist sanctuary, eternal construction complaint. Inside, clarinet practice, self-portraits, canned bread, and mortification. Outside, SpongeBob and Patrick wreaking havoc. The house even walks when a turtle needs a shell. Dignity lives here, peace never pays the rent. Meanwhile, across the dome line, science takes center stage. Sandy's Tree Dome, an air-filled Texas embassy under glass. Experiments explode, karate sparring snaps, and homesickness softens over tea. Visitors dehydrate without helmets. The dome is Bikini Bottom's lighthouse of logic. Clipboards, lassos, encourage testing weirdness until it behaves properly. And when SpongeBob isn't at home or work, there's one classroom he keeps flunking out of. Mrs. Puff's boating school, orange cones, trembling clipboards, and a classroom doomed by one student's nerves. Theory, perfect. Practice, catastrophic. The course loops like destiny. Paperwork balloons like Mrs. Puff after impact. Hope returns every Monday morning like nothing happened. But when classes end, nature takes over. Jellyfish fields. Pink meadows humming like neon. Nets swish, jellyfish zap. Friendships mend after stings. It's sport, meditation, and occasional riot when the queen shows up. SpongeBob finds joy here. Squidward finds out how much voltage one clarinet player can take. And when it's time for sandcastles, lifeguards, and flexing, the story moves to the beach. Goo Lagoon. Bikini Bottom's beach, part flex zone, part fiasco. Lifeguard megaphones bark orders over sunburns, sandcastle wars, and pride slipping on an ice cube. Larry supervises while pranks escalate, proving every vacation postcard hides at least one ambulance ride. But not everyone is on spring break. Some legends just want a quiet retirement. Shady Shoals, home to Mermaid Man, Barnacle Boy, and every Golden Age hero who hit the snooze button on justice. The lobby is a shrine to yesterday's glory days. The boys outside, reviving capes with devotion and props. Nostalgia naps here until the shell phone rings again. And beneath it all, the lair where things go completely off the rails. The Mermalair, hidden beneath shady shoals, all blinking consoles and oversized buttons daring someone to press them. Villains sit beside invisible vehicles. Justice arrives via tickle belts. And nostalgia mixes with slapstick until someone inevitably presses the wrong switch. Meanwhile, normal life demands one thing. Groceries. Bargain Mart. Fluorescent aisles of everything priced to make Mr. Krabs grin like a lottery winner. SpongeBob shops here for spatulas, party supplies, and a manual on how to act normal. Bargain Mart proves even commerce breaks when Bikini Bottom's weirdos shop sincerely. And for anyone who breaks too many rules, there's always a cell waiting, Bikini Bottom Jail, where good intentions go to cool off. Cells rotate through SpongeBob, Plankton, and whatever stuntmen wrecked the town this week. The bars hold gags, apologies, and plans to do better next episode. Release papers shuffle. Forgiveness resets on schedule. And for fun that spirals out of control, the gates of this next place open wide. Glove World. Theme park glee with a side of menace. Cotton candy, glove hats, rides that eat time, and funhouse mirrors doubling the idiocy. Closing time always strands someone in the wrong neighborhood. Childhood thrills and urban legends share the same funnel cake here, and at the far edge of town, two restaurants battle for the soul of toughness itself. The Salty Spittoon and Weenie Hut Juniors, twin poles of toughness culture. The Salty Spittoon tests pain tolerance like a bouncer's TED Talk. Weenie Hut Juniors offers sprinkles, safety, and zero judgment. Gatekeeping roasted, courage redefined, and SpongeBob lands where honesty says he belongs most. Rock Bottom. And then there's the place where even Bikini Bottom residents get lost. Rock Bottom. A deeper, darker district with slanted signs and bus schedules written by demons. Buses vanish, balloons become rescue vehicles, and kindness comes from strangers when words give up entirely. Anxiety turns into comedy, and SpongeBob learns patience from a bus stop that speaks in static. But if Rock Bottom is chaos through confusion, the next spot turns chaos into religion. Kelp Forest/Wilderness, a green labyrinth where the magic conch rules everything. Doing nothing becomes the survival strategy. Canned food literally falls from the sky like prophecy. Squidward breaks first, of course, before finally surrendering to the cult of do-nothing. Wilderness turns slapstick into myth, and Squidward into a reluctant believer. And if you want strange but with a soundtrack, there's always the next stop. Bikini Bottom Triangle, a swirling scrapyard of lost objects ruled by singing mermaids. Their melody sucks in treasure, tourists, and half the cast. To escape, you sing the chorus backward and hope the physics cooperate. It's the Bermuda Triangle reimagined by mall culture, glitter, and a cartoon fever dream. But when it comes to legend, no place looms larger than this one. Atlantis, a pristine museum city run by Lord Royal Highness himself. Every visitor gets a dream wing. Treasure for crabs, art for Squidward, labs for Sandy, a bubble for SpongeBob and Patrick. Until one camera flash pops everything, hospitality included. Wonder turns brittle in seconds, and the bus ride home feels weirdly perfect. And if you thought Atlantis was dangerous, wait until you reach the surface. Shell City Gift Shop, surface. A fluorescent death trap for sea creatures, except it's actually just a souvenir store. Heat lamps become execution chambers, jars become coffins, and a clumsy Cyclops manages the whole operation. Tears turn into sprinklers, captivity into stampede, and the surface proves terrifying, tacky, and merciful all at once. But when SpongeBob needs moral support, he heads straight for an ice cream-fueled temple. Goofy Goober, an ice cream palace where growing up is optional. Sundays replace shots, anthems replace speeches, and when destiny calls, guitar solos melt mind control devices. Friendship and refusing to act your age save the day loudly and proudly. And sometimes, the surface isn't just neon lights and guitar riffs, it's full-on absurdity. Surface Town/Beach Pier. Here, pirates sell burgers, air chokes seafolk, and physics takes a vacation. Superhero alter egos chase a thief through gulls, boardwalk rides, and fast food stands. It's a carnival of nonsense proving the surface plays by no one's rules. And if you want the surface with extra vanity and slot machines, the next stop delivers. Atlantic City. Neon Atlantis with snail pageants, robot chauffeurs, and Poseidon running the whole vanity parade. His palace tempts detours, loyalty tests, and one very weird court hearing before the snails go free. It's a road movie, a confession booth, and a theme park wrapped in one ridiculous detour. And what fun would it be if we didn't discuss the painful activities that occurred under the sea? Yup jobs. Starting with the fry cook, SpongeBob. Every town needs a heartbeat, and for Bikini Bottom, it's on a grill. The spatula is SpongeBob's sword. Precision, pride, and playful invention define the role. Kraft conquers crisis here, turning patties into proof that care really does taste better. And a few feet away sits a man who wishes he worked anywhere else. Cashier, Squidward. Front row seat to chaos. Clarinet dreams on break. Squidward guards the register, despises enthusiasm, and somehow still needs the routine to function. The bell dings, the eye roll follows. Order restored. Barely. Meanwhile, the guy signing his paycheck counts every penny twice. Owner, Mr. Krabs. Profit whistles through his claws. Thrift drives his decisions and his disasters. He'll build empires from nickels, but gruff affection leaks around the edges, especially when his fry cook hurts. Across the street, a rival owner wants the same empire but keeps ordering from the villain handbook. Rival owner, inventor, Plankton. Plankton builds gadgets, grudges, and occasionally relationships if Karen yells at him enough. His restaurant stays empty. His lab stays loud. Every failure comes with blueprints for the next one, and somehow he never stops scheming. But when science needs competence instead of chaos, Sandy takes the goggles. Scientist/engineer Sandy. Texan grit under glass. Sandy prototypes wild solutions, lassos problems, mentors friends, and wrangles the town when biology or physics misbehaves badly. Her labs explode, her tea stays calm, and every experiment feels like an adventure. Meanwhile, one student in town keeps failing the same class forever. Perpetual boating student, SpongeBob. Ace on paper, panic at the wheel. Every test ends in catastrophe, humility, and more paperwork. Failure becomes a recurring joke and the show's most stubborn teacher. And the instructor? She alternates between hope and trauma counseling. Boating instructor, Mrs. Puff. Patient until terrorized. Paperwork balloons, literally. Mrs. Puff cycles between optimism, dread, and moving to another town entirely. Somehow she keeps surviving SpongeBob's attempts while modeling resilience and boundaries in equal measure.
Hi, Mrs. Puff.
Hit the brakes! SpongeBob! Watch the tree! Laugh!
Wait, Mrs. Puff!
But when SpongeBob's not driving boats, he's chasing jellyfish with Patrick like it's a summer sport. Jellyfishers, SpongeBob/Patrick. Nets, enthusiasm, stings. Jellyfishing doubles as therapy, slapstick, and competitive chaos. Friendship deepens, Squidward suffers, and code of honor rules somehow emerge from two guys tripping over their own nets. And when one food critic visits, entire businesses collapse overnight. Food critic, Gene Scallop. One review detonates fads and franchises. Gene crowns trends, inspires overnight makeovers, and accidentally writes cautionary tales about branding outrunning the food itself. And behind him, the inspectors carry clipboards like weapons. Health/food inspectors. Surprise visits. Existential threats to Krab's margins. They expose shortcuts, punish gimmicks, and occasionally reveal the real secret. Cleanliness beats hype every time. Meanwhile, on the beach, a lifeguard flexes between rescues. Lifeguard/gym bro Larry. Larry oversees Goo Lagoon with protein puns and perfect timing. He flexes, rescues, and models competence, even if vanity jokes never quite leave his shadow. Back in the palace, royalty wrestles with power and ego. Royalty, Neptune to Poseidon. Tridents, trials, ego the size of Atlantis. Their palaces mirror power's fragility, often softened when SpongeBob's honesty and community spirit crash through all that velvet and lightning. And when drama needs a voice, the anchors step in. Host/media, Perch Perkins, Nicholas Withers. Smooth voices narrating drama, fashion, and utter panic. Their bulletins turn gossip into breaking news and makeovers into national crises. Fame and farce delivered live at 6. And for the final job. One bouncer with zero patience for posers. Bouncer/gatekeeper, Reggie. The salty spittoon's test master. Reg measures toughness with riddled bravado, rewarding deadpan honesty until one ice cube derails the entire reputation economy. B formats and running bits. Secret formula heists. Plankton never stops. Robots, disguises, legal loopholes. He tries everything except running an actual restaurant. Each scheme implodes faster than the last, turning failure into food for the Krusty Krab and proving once again that teamwork, craft, and SpongeBob's relentless optimism beat evil science every time. And speaking of relentless, Squidward's clarinet art. Ambition meets, well, let's call it abstract talent. Squidward pours his soul into every note. Audiences boo, friends clap politely. But those rare, glorious victories, they almost make you believe the clarinet dream might work out until the next concert clears the room. Meanwhile, SpongeBob's entire existence runs on one catchphrase: I'm ready! Energy. 2 words, infinite chaos. SpongeBob chants I'm ready like it's both a prayer and a caffeine overdose.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Setbacks? Just training. Disaster? Just Tuesday. The mantra keeps the town moving whether anyone asked for it or not. And when things do slow down, one voice cuts through all the nonsense. Gary's weaponized meow. 1 syllable. Unlimited range. Gary's meow serves sass, judgment, hunger, and occasionally emotional depth all in the same breath. It derails egos, redirects plots, and reminds everyone that adventure ends when the pet needs dinner. But when Gary's quiet, The real oracle steps in. Magic Conch answers, a plastic toy that gives cosmic advice. Do nothing, it says. Do nothing, they obey. Canned food falls from the sky like divine Instacart deliveries. Patience and humility win while Squidward slowly loses his mind. And when survival gets weird, safety rules get even weirder. Anti-sea bear circle and nonsense rules. Draw a circle. Avoid cubed cheese. Don't play the clarinet after dark. The show invents absurd survival guides that somehow work every single time. Squidward ignores them, of course, and gets flattened. But even the safety tips can't save Mrs. Puff's blood pressure. Boating test panic loop. Perfect theory, catastrophic practice. SpongeBob melts into sweat and chaos the second he touches the wheel. Tests end in explosions, Mrs. Puff inflates, and hope regenerates every Monday morning like nothing happened. And between crashes, the town finds time for bubble art and surprise musical numbers. Bubble artistry and song buttons. Bubbles become weapons, art projects, entire plot devices. Songs arrive like buttons getting pressed. Courage unlocked, teamwork assembled, chores turned into Broadway finales. Bikini Bottom solves problems with show tunes, basically, and when that isn't enough, the show breaks its own reality just for fun. Live action / meta intrusions. Nosferatu flips a light switch. David Hasselhoff body surfs a crown across the ocean. The fourth wall dissolves on command, physics leaves the building, and the cartoon reminds you it can do whatever it wants, especially when time itself decides to get weird. Tidal zone / space-time weirdness. Time machines, future Squidwards. Night shifts stretching into eternity. Logic loosens, dimensions fold. But character truths hold steady through all the nonsense. And in the middle of cosmic chaos, the same moral keeps winning. Kindness / friendship win condition. No grand speeches, no giant lasers. Just small acts of kindness, flipping villains, melting pride, and gathering crowds until even the plot gives up fighting it. Empathy beats gadgets every single time. By morning, disasters end. Consequences linger just enough to teach a lesson, and the whole town resets for tomorrow's chaos like nothing happened. Which leads us into the beginning of everyone's beloved childhood. The early essentials, seasons 1 to 3, peak SpongeBob. SpongeBob's world doesn't crawl into existence, it cannonballs. Help Wanted blasts the doors open with a hydrodynamic spatula and an anchovy stampede, turning the Krusty Krab into both workplace and stage. By Tea at the Tree Dome, the show's already testing cross-cultural manners as SpongeBob dehydrates into crouton form just to impress Sandy. Honesty, not bravado, keeps the friendship alive, a pattern the series never drops. Comedy quickly fuses with pain. Ripped Pants rides a killer joke straight into social exile before kindness stitches things back together. Jellyfishing sends Squidward through slapstick torture disguised as caretaking, while Plankton introduces a villain whose schemes fail as reliably as SpongeBob flips patties. Every episode layers character traits the show will never abandon: optimism, rivalry, cynicism, and craft under pressure. Some stories aim smaller, but hit deeper. Home Sweet Pineapple wipes out SpongeBob's house, grows it back overnight with sincerity, and proves tears can terraform real estate. Pickles turns Bubble Base into a one-episode stress test for SpongeBob's confidence, restoring it one missing pickle at a time. Grandma's Kisses argues, maturity doesn't mean losing tenderness, while Squidville briefly tricks Squidward into thinking conformity beats chaos, right before he flees back home to noise, neighbors, and life. By mid-run, the show gets ambitious. Christmas Who invents Bikini Bottom's holiday spirit only to crush it, then revives it when Squidward sacrifices everything to play Santa himself. I'm Your Biggest Fanatic mocks gatekeeping as a giant jellyfish crowns SpongeBob hero despite Kevin's snobbery. Welcome to the Chum Bucket tries stealing both SpongeBob's labor and his soul. Both escape because art without love always fails. Then come the big swings. Frankendoodle drops a magic pencil from the heavens so Doodlebob can terrorize reality until erased by boundaries. Band Geeks gives Squidward his finest hour, a broken militia, a rival smirking in the stands, and Sweet Victory blowing the roof off cartoon cynicism. The show can now deliver catharsis without losing its slapstick core. Even the small episodes keep pace. I'm With Stupid hurts because friendship turns performative. Club SpongeBob turns the magic conch into a survivalist prophet, dropping crates of food on the faithful. Chocolate with nuts sells chaos door to door, rewarding confidence and naivety with accidental success. The camping episode immortalizes the anti-sea bear circle, absurd rules keeping perfect slapstick timing. Through it all runs the Krusty Krab rhythm: bell, ticket, flip, hiss, sigh. Work is art when done with care. Friendship needs maintenance, not speeches. Plankton repeats because obsession is funny. Karen deadpans because someone has to. By season 3's end, the language of the show is permanent. Magic tears grow houses, erasers defeat chaos, generosity costs something, and wonder always pays it back. But the movie looms next, and with it, a different rhythm. Bigger stories, looser edges, and a Bikini Bottom learning what comes after its golden age. Post-movie reset. Seasons 4 to 5. The golden age ends, the movie credits roll, and Bikini Bottom wakes up a little stranger, a little louder, but still beating with the same grease-popping heart. The 4th and 5th seasons waste no time testing what this world can handle. It starts with Shell of a Man, where Mr. Krabs, molted and insecure before a Navy reunion, begs SpongeBob to wear his shell and keep the legend alive. The act works until honesty splits the facade. Krabs claims his softer self, and his old crew salutes the truth. Bravado cracks, vulnerability shines through, and the lesson lands. Courage sometimes wears confession, not armor. But this era isn't just about legends. It turns inward, too. Have you seen the snail stretches the show into near melancholy as SpongeBob's paddleball obsession makes him forget Gary's dinner, sending the snail into a gray, poster-filled city of overfeeding strangers? A heartbreaking song plays, the colors drain, and the reunion restores them. Love here isn't grand gestures. It's boring, daily care, apologize, feed, repeat. Even Plankton tries reinvention in Enemy-in-Law, powering down Karen to court Betsy Krabs and learning, painfully, that vanity can't out-scheme dignity. Chimps Ahoy tests Sandy's scientific pride before 3 funding overlords. SpongeBob and Patrick demo a catastrophic 4-in-1 contraption the chimps despise, until Sandy humbly presents a simple nutcracker and earns the grant. Elegance beats spectacle, usefulness beats ego, and the town keeps moving. Sometimes it looks backward instead of forward. Friend or foe unspools Krabs and Plankton's shared origin through dueling flashbacks, Karen correcting the record while childhood dreams collapse into rivalry. Both men emerge stubborn, sympathetic, and messily human. Rivals by choice, not destiny. The original Fry Cook raises the same question from another angle when Jim, the old legend himself, returns flipping patties like poetry. He urges SpongeBob to leave, grow, and find new horizons. But SpongeBob looks at the grill, the bell, the neighbors, and stays put. The point sharpens. Excellence isn't just ambition. It's choosing where you belong. Then, Atlantis SquarePants takes everyone on a musical road trip to a mythic city where Krabs hunts treasure, Squidward finds art, Sandy explores labs, and SpongeBob and Patrick cradle the world's oldest bubble like it's sacred. A single camera flash pops everything, fake and real. And the crew returns home exiled but somehow content. Plankton, hoping for weapons, ends up with strawberry ice cream instead. The special resets nothing yet insists pleasures are fragile and shared values outlast gold. Across these seasons, faces squash harder, songs arrive faster, and wild premises bend back toward familiar rhythms. The road out of Bikini Bottom stays open, but the show always chooses to return to its line cooks, its neighbors, its small stakes made grand through craft and care. Home beats clout, utility beats spectacle. And no matter how far it wanders, the spatula always comes back down on the same sizzling grill. But change creeps in next. Seasons where the frames stretch, the faces smear, and the show starts bending its own rules just to see what breaks. Off-model and experiments. Seasons 6 to 7. With the post-movie glow fading, Bikini Bottom loosens its collar. Seasons 6 and 7 start warping the frame, letting faces smear, dialogue snap, and one-off premises stretch like experimental shorts rather than tidy sitcom beats. The camera itself peaks, flinches, and drifts like a curious bystander. Yet through every stylistic left turn, the same heart keeps pumping. SpongeBob's optimism, Squidward's dignity, and the Krusty Krab's clattering rhythm refuse to vanish. Not Normal takes the biggest swing first. SpongeBob sands off his quirks, buys a conformity manual, swaps spatulas for spreadsheets, and paints the pineapple beige. The gag lands because the town doesn't want a normal sponge. It needs the noisy optimist who treats work like art. fear jolts him back. Buck teeth, laugh, grease pop timing. Proving authenticity always beats presentation. Then Plankton's regular lets the chum bucket gloat for one brief, glorious week. A single customer stumbles in daily, while Plankton struts to the Krusty Krab to rub it in. Krab schemes, SpongeBob begs. Karen bankrolls the lie, though until the regular admits he was paid and his stomach pumped twice. Rivalry resets. The episode plays like a startup chasing vanity metrics and mistaking one data point for destiny. Cephalopod Lodge drops Squidward into his dream society of robes, chants, and perfect order, until SpongeBob and Patrick crash it like toddlers with espresso shots. Banished, readmitted, and banished again after a fake eel rescue unravels, Squidward learns belonging earned by performance evaporates, but friendship surviving, humiliation lasts. Even the Bikini Bottom triangle embraces surrealism. A siren song yanks half the town into a swirling scrapyard of lost treasures, ruled by mermaids lounging like art critics. The secret exit? Sing the melody backward until the current spits you out. The episode lands like a tone poem, dreamy, meta, and ending with the formula drifting back to a passing sailor. Proof that community rituals, not secrets, keep this place alive. Through all of it, style stretches, but the moral compass stays steady. Work with care, stay weird, and trust friendship over spectacle. Rivalries, holidays, and team-ups. Seasons 7 to 8. Then, the show tests its ensemble under pressure. Turf wars, holiday chaos, and the kind of alliances that only happen when Bikini Bottom teeters on collapse. Big Sister Sam arrives first, a hurricane in extra-large form. Patrick's sister storms into town, mistakes everything for a threat, and hurls the neighborhood into slapstick war until Patrick, for once, steps between force and friend. Strength here isn't loud, it's protective. The rivalry spikes in the other patty, where a pop-up burger joint claims its secret ingredient is friendship. Krabs and Plankton join forces just long enough to infiltrate, bicker in disguise, and fail spectacularly when SpongeBob reveals he ran the place as a social experiment. Collaboration as costume falls apart. Formula without heart is chalkboard scribbles. Krabs doubles down in drive-thru, hammering windows into walls so fast the building buckles under literal scope creep. Orders fly, standards vanish, and hustle culture gets roasted when the whole thing collapses. The Krusty Krab's value, the episode insists, lives in its people, not its throughput. Plankton makes his own mistake in Karen 2.0, trading his original wife computer for an upgrade that flatters, then menaces. The rescue, reunion, and smashed copy leave one lesson intact. Partnerships outlast gadgets, and forgiveness trumps ambition. Then, holiday cheer kicks the door in with It's a SpongeBob Christmas. Plankton doses the town with Jerktonium fruitcake, builds Toy Bob to frame SpongeBob, and nearly wins until music itself melts the villainy. A single song redeems the town, spots the culprit, and proves Bikini Bottom logic bends toward chorus lines over conflict. By the era's end, teamwork beats turf. Compassion rewires rivalries, and even Santa can't resist the town's chaotic charm. And next, the show turns inward again, peeling away identity, ambition, and even SpongeBob's pants to see what happens when the center wobbles. Layoffs and Long Pants, Season 9. The 9th season pulls Bikini Bottom's foundation loose just to see what falls. It asks what happens when you fire the heart of the kitchen, dress maturity in long pants, or crown Patrick ruler for science. Each experiment wobbles the center and then snaps it back. SpongeBob, you're fired hits first. Krabs chases a nickel and cuts his fry cook loose, only to learn the town runs on emotional economy, not profit margins. Rival joints tug of war for SpongeBob's talents, but every menu he touches bends toward Krabby-style comfort. Even Squidward's sarcasm wilts without the old flat-top hissing behind him. The kitchen feels wrong until the apron comes home. Then SpongeBob Longpants sows a joke about status straight through his wardrobe. A pair of trousers gets him a boating license, entry to polite society, and endless cups of fancy coffee, until he sees the absurdity himself. Krabs snips the cuffs, the license vanishes, and Bikini Bottom exhales as the square sponge returns to the grill where he belongs. Maturity, the show grins, isn't fabric, it's consistency. And in Fishbowl, Sandy runs a behavioral study that crowns Patrick in charge, only to watch him hoard sand and ice cream like power itself has calories. The friends rebuild everything by sharing the last cone, proving science can diagram greed but only kindness ends it. Season 9 keeps its thesis simple. Shortcuts collapse when they ignore the human texture underneath. Whether it's pants, pink slips, or clipboards, what survives is the fry cook, the neighbors, and the work done with care. Biology and Meta, Seasons 10 to 12. Then the series folds its own reality until the edges show. Biology goes literal, live action walks in the door, and Bikini Bottom stares straight at the audience before laughing it off. Through every stunt, friendship stays the control variable holding the place together. Feral Friends peels the cartoon skins off the cast under a green lunar anomaly, turning Sandy into a scientist hermit and Squidward into a squid who actually tests the glass. The French narrator breaks protocol to brief her on Neptune's moon. Order returns on the dot and care outruns chaos again. Cave-dwelling Sponge drags a prehistoric sponge into the modern day. He trashes courts, breaks the fourth wall, and proves ancient glee doesn't need manners to survive. SpongeBob tries etiquette, then empathy until the town adjusts around its loudest ancestor. Plankton gets his own twist and grandmums the word, borrowing the Krusty Krab for a shift so his grandma can see him succeed, only for her to swipe the formula mid-photo while Squidward blushes on the sidelines. Episodes like High Sea Diving and The Night Patty push reality further. One floats SpongeBob to a trash island where Old Man Jenkins improvises divinity until the real Neptune drops in. The other opens a night shift serving ash black patties to midnight regulars before dawn erases the whole thing like it never happened. Even the narrator whispers they slipped into the title zone. The season plays lighter, too. Girls' Night Out lets Sandy, Karen, and Mrs. Puff reclaim the town through pranks and petty justice. Sandy's nutty nieces turns babysitting into slapstick physics. Karen's baby accidentally gives Plankton a rebellious ATM for a son before parental pride wins out. By shell games and big birthday blowout, dignity is getting rammed by a jealous turtle. Surface-dwelling actors mirror the main cast, and a surprise party barely dodges disaster before closing with a curtain call to the show's creator. Melancholy braided to chaos, gratitude hiding under gags. Through it all, fourth walls bend, logic buckles, and Bikini Bottom keeps laughing at itself. No matter how weird it gets, Care pulls the pieces back together before the credits roll. And next, the spotlight swings to two retired heroes, and the mini-arc that turns comic book nostalgia into one of the show's longest-running love letters. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy mini-arc, Eros and Beats. Across scattered seasons, the show slips into comic book panels and lets two retirees carry the weight of nostalgia, justice, and jokes about sidekicks needing snack breaks. What begins as a fandom gag slowly turns into one of the series' longest-running love letters. The saga kicks off in MM and BB 1 through 5, where SpongeBob and Patrick rouse their idols from shady shoals, answer the shell phone, and accidentally reboot a Golden Age crime-fighting duo who now need naps between missions. Mermaid Man's belt becomes a chaos remote, the Mermalair opens like a time capsule, and SpongeBob learns that power without judgment turns victory into debris. Rogue's galleries flash by in slideshows both silly and sincere, a retirement home turning into a headquarters overnight. Then Man Ray, Tickle Belt Rehab, gives Bikini Bottom its strangest villain reform program. Defrosted and dangerous, Man Ray gets sentenced to good manners via a tickle belt and SpongeBob's relentless optimism. He nearly reforms, backslides hard, and proves that ridicule doesn't fix anyone. But structure and stubborn kindness sometimes can. In shuffleboarding, cosplay justice spirals into over-policed streets when SpongeBob and Patrick impersonate their heroes with more enthusiasm than judgment. Community service replaces applause by the credits, the episode quietly jabbing at how easy it is to break things while playing pretend. Barnacle Boy's heel turn finally lets the sidekick snap. Tired of senior discounts and second billing, he defects for a snack-sized villain spree involving a make-out reef ransom and world domination only until bedtime. A single cookie brings him home. Pride wants respect. Friendship needs forgiveness. And the pair's backstory arrives in Mermaid Man Begins and Back to the Past, staged like garage movies and retro time trips. The style bends, canon reshapes itself, and Bikini Bottom wears a four-color pulp aesthetic just long enough to remind everyone that the capes may wrinkle, but the devotion stays crisp. By the time the saga winds down, kid fandom has recharged fading heroes. Parody lands because the love behind it is real. And Bikini Bottom moves on a little brighter for having borrowed their capes. And from here, only one thing remains: The leap from television to the big screen, where the stakes, the budgets, and even the aspect ratio all change at once. Movies, 2004, 2015, 2020. The series finally leaves television behind, trading half-hour chaos for big-screen stakes where the ocean feels wider, the music swells louder, and the spatula carries the weight of destiny. 3 films stretch Bikini Bottom to its limits without ever losing the grease-pop heartbeat underneath. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie 2004 opens with a snub. Denied the manager's title and labeled just a kid, SpongeBob charges into the surface world to rescue King Neptune's stolen crown and spare Mr. Krabs from a frozen fate. The quest runs through biker bars, the trench, and a blistering gift shop heat lamp before sprinkler tears save the heroes in the nick of time. Hasselhoff ferries them home, Peck launches the crown like divine intervention, and watches as Plankton's mind control buckets march toward defeat. Because SpongeBob doesn't win with muscle, he wins by shredding a goofy goober guitar solo loud enough to crack helmets, topple tyranny, and prove that being yourself beats every villain speech ever written. The SpongeBob movie Sponge Out of Water 2015 turns metafiction loose. Burgerbeard writes reality itself, stealing the Krabby Patty formula as Bikini Bottom collapses in hunger and chaos. SpongeBob and Plankton time flail past Bubbles the cosmic dolphin, return empty-clawed, then follow a torn page to the surface. There, superpowered alter egos take the pier by storm, unmasking Beard in a battle where Invincibubble and Plankton win because trust, not tricks, rewrites the story. The magic book closes on a simple truth. Authorship belongs to the team that cares the most. The SpongeBob movie Sponge on the Run 2020 raises the scale but keeps the same compass. Poseidon hoards snails for vanity slime. Gary vanishes. Otto drives the rescue crew straight to Atlantic City, where a glitter-soaked show trial turns into a chorus of friends testifying for SpongeBob. He refuses a selfish bargain, wins freedom for every snail, and even lets Plankton help without softening the rivalry's edge. Otto yeets them off a cliff, sticks the landing, and leaves the film grinning at its own absurdity. Across all 3 movies, the moral never changes. Be yourself, trust your friends, choose love over power, bigger budgets, flashier battles, stranger detours. And yet the spatula, the bell, and the kindness at Bikini Bottom's core survive every frame. SpongeBob never wins with fear or force. He wins by showing up with craft, kindness, and that strange, bright hope that keeps Bikini Bottom's heart beating. If that's childish, then leave us in the sandbox and don't forget to subscribe because the next adventure's already sizzling on the grill.